I never actually thought I would make much money selling on Amazon when I first started. I had no business background, I had absolutely no fancy tools, and I didn't really have much time for myself either. I was working a 9 to 5 job and I was commuting quite a lot. So even before work and after work, I barely had time to do anything I wanted to do. So I persevered with it, and in my first month I hit more than £10,000 in sales, and I actually ended the month doing more than £18,000 in sales. So today in this video I'm going to show you exactly what products I found, how I found them, the mindset around it, and what has helped me to scale this to much further, where now I've done more than £5 million in revenue alone since I started selling on Amazon. Now, if you're really serious and you want to start or grow your Amazon business, then make sure you follow along to the other videos, because I'll be releasing a lot more information which will help you start and grow your business. Why does 10K matter? Whilst 10K is a very good number to hit, especially in your first month, it is not life-changing amounts of money. Just because you go ahead and hit 10K doesn't mean you're then going to go out and buy a Rolex straight away. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. But what 10K is, it is proof of concept. Because I've hit 10K in my first month and I actually almost doubled that, that means this has the potential to do so much more. Imagine what I could do in 2, 3, 4, 5 years time when I've got more capital behind me, much more knowledge because I've been doing it for such a longer amount of time, and I can also grow a team and scale this much further. So for me, hitting 10K was a huge number because I now know this has the potential to do so much more. When I first started seeing information on Amazon, I was super skeptical, like most people are. You see all these screenshots about all these high numbers, high profits, high sales, and you think, what is the catch? There must be something hidden in here. So I kept doing more and more research, I was finding out more and more information about it, and in the end I thought the only way for me to really understand what's going on is to give this a go. And I never expected to start making thousands and thousands of pounds every single month almost immediately after I started. All I wanted was an extra couple £100 every single month, just so I can then start going out a bit more, go out for dinner and treat myself in my personal life. And I never expected to actually grow as much as I have grown right now. So what do? In a nutshell, I buy name brand products like Sony, LG, Nivea, Dove, anything like that, and I buy them from online retail stores in the UK. These are very common stores which you probably shop at on a month-to-month basis anyway. These could be anything from Boots, John Lewis, Currys, Superdrug, anything like that. Once I've purchased these products, I will then package and prep them and get them sent into Amazon's warehouses. Amazon will then deal with them and they'll list them on their platform as Amazon Prime, FBA. Then all I have to do now is wait for customers to go onto Amazon and purchase these products from me. I sell the majority of my products FBA, which means Amazon handles all of the shipping and all of the customer service. You can also do FBM as well, but that is not something I tend to do. I mainly focus on the FBA side of the business because, to be honest, I don't really like the customer service and I want someone else to take care of that for me. My job now is to continue to find more and more products on a daily basis, manage my pricing of these products, and make sure I'm buying for the cheapest possible price and I'm then selling for the highest possible price as well, and then also managing all my inventory to make sure I can continue to scale this and continue to grow my business. And in order to do this, I've had to outsource a lot of the tasks. I've outsourced admin and I've outsourced sourcing as well. So there are now 4 people on my team, including me, who focus on all those things I've just mentioned. How did I actually start this? So I started it in about May 2021, so it was towards the end of COVID. I had about £1,000 cash, and I also had about £4,000 on a credit card, which I could use as well. I didn't really want to touch the credit card, I mainly wanted to use the cash. But as soon as I realized that it worked, I thought I might as well rinse and repeat the credit card as much as possible, because this is going to help me scale a lot quicker. Whilst these days I definitely wouldn't recommend using a credit card when you're first starting out. It was very different when I first started, and to be honest, it was probably a lot easier because the cash turned over a lot quicker, whereas nowadays it's a lot slower because everything everything about Amazon has changed quite a lot. So when I first started, it was towards the end of COVID, meaning the things I was purchasing, I was generally doing FBM instead of FBA, which is what I do now. And with FBM, you can generally turn your cash flow around a lot quicker, especially back then because of the things we were buying. I was buying much larger, bulkier items than I was today. I was buying a lot of swimming pools, chimneys, patio heaters, and some pool heaters as well. While at this time during the COVID period, everyone was allowed outside in their gardens and not many people could really travel. So you found everyone was actually doing up their gardens and making sure their gardens were as nice as possible when they had people around in the summer. And as I started in May, it was springtime, so people were in full garden renovation mode. And I managed to use this to my advantage. So what I did, when I first found out about Amazon, there was a load of Discord groups and communities which people were talking about and showing you what to buy and what to sell. So I joined one of these communities and everything they were posting was all these garden related things. As I said about the chimneys and the patio heaters. So at this time I was buying chimneys. I think chimney was probably the first product I actually bought. And I was going around to all the B&Qs and all the home bases and buying every single chimney they had if I knew I could make profit on Amazon. And with it being FBM, as soon as I got the notification on my phone to say go and buy this product, I would get in my car once I finished work or at the weekends and I would search all the stores around me and see what stock I had. I would then drive to all of them and clear them out. I would fit as many chimneys as I could in my car, and at that time it was probably only about 5 because they're generally pretty big boxes. As soon as I put them in my car, I would then list them for sale on Amazon as FBM, and generally as I was driving home I was already getting sales, which to me was absolutely amazing. So I would get home, I'd already have a couple of sales of these chimneys. I'll then package them up and send them straight away. And this is what's so different about Amazon now. Whereas back then, because it was FBM, I could sell stuff on my way home, get it sent out, and I would get my money much quicker from Amazon. Whereas if I was to FBA products, which is what I do 99% of the time now, once I've purchased a product, I will have to then prep that product and then get that sent into Amazon. And that takes time. The prepping takes time, and then sending it into Amazon takes time. It could take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, maybe even longer, just to send your stuff into Amazon. Once it's in Amazon, you then have to wait for them to check everything and make sure they list it into your inventory. And then once it's in your inventory, you then have to wait for it to sell. So FBM was a lot quicker, ideally because I could sell things same day, just because of the nature of what these products were. And that then meant I could get paid a lot quicker from Amazon. Whereas if you FBA, it then takes so much longer, so it's a lot harder to get your money back from Amazon. And there also wasn't as many people selling on Amazon at that time as well. So this is why I would not recommend starting with a credit card, because of the likelihood of you purchasing a product and then selling the product to then get that money back from Amazon to then pay off that card is going to be pretty slim in the timescales the card allows. So I would only advise when you're first starting out to only use cash. Once you've scaled and you understand the process and you're getting regular disbursements from Amazon, you can then look to utilize extra capital to help you grow your business. So as I said, when I first started, I was buying all of these chimneys, going to Homebase, going to B&Q, buying as many as I could and selling them on my way home. All I did was just completely rinse and repeat that until I couldn't get any more from B&Q and Homebase because they were not stocking any. I kept looking further afield and traveling an hour, 2 hours just to try and stock up with as much stock as I could. And then I was just completely relying on this group as well. They were constantly posting different products for me to buy. I think they had pizza ovens at one point, and I think the one product which really made my month was a pool heater, and these were absolutely amazing. They posted this pool heater, they bought it from one website. I was having a look at there. You could only buy 2 at a time, which isn't great if you want to try and scale this business. So I was buying 2 and I realized they sold almost immediately. So I said, right, where else can I buy this product? So I reverse sourced this product. I was searching into Google and trying to find a different retailer where I can purchase this product from. I found another one where I could buy 20 pieces at a time. So I thought that's so much better, and the cost was even cheaper as well. So I would buy 20. As soon as I got an email to say they were dispatched, I knew they would be with me the next day. So I would then list them all on Amazon FBA, and before they even arrived, I had already sold most of them. So as soon as they got to my front door, more. I packaged them up and then sent them straight to the post office and sent them off. And that was amazing because as soon as I did that, I then bought another 20 more. And then the same thing happened. Then I bought another 20 more. And I just rinsed and repeated that. And I sold hundreds of these things in the first month. And that is what helped me scale to such a big figure in my first month. As I mentioned at the start of this video, I didn't really have much time to do this business as well. I was commuting a lot, so I had to make sure I worked as much as possible in the small amount of time I had. So I would wake up early before work and I would then do some sourcing. When I say sourcing, I would look on this group and see what they posted. If there was anything which stood out to me, I would then buy. And then in the evenings, I would also do more of that as well. And then also that is when I would package and prep my products. So whatever came that day, I'll then get them packaged up and either sent off to Amazon FBA, but the majority of the time it was FBM at this stage. So I get postage labels set up on them and then get them sent off to the customers. And I would continue to do this. I was working very early in the mornings before work, and I was working on my laptop while I was watching TV. As soon as I finished work, had dinner, sat on my laptop all night until 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to buy as much stuff as possible to see what sold, or even just to try and prep as much stuff as possible to get things out to the customers. Some of the key things I did in that first month was to make sure I understand exactly what I was buying and why I was buying it. And the way to do this is you have to utilize 2 tools specifically, one being Keeper and the other one being SellerAmp. Keeper is so important when you're selling on Amazon. If you do not look at Keeper when you buy a product, you are essentially buying this product blind and you have no idea what you're going to get yourself in for. And then SellerAmp is super important because this tells you what your profit calculations are, how much you're going to make from each product, and it tells you how quickly these products sell. So between these 2 softwares, they are absolutely key to run any Amazon business. In order to learn these tools, I actually bought courses which told me exactly how to use them. SellerAmp is pretty self-explanatory, so you don't really need to have a course to understand that, but Keeper can be very confusing. So I bought a course of someone I found on social media, and I learned this course at the back of my hand. I was watching these videos all the time just to really figure out everything Keeper can do and how I can use it to my advantage, and if I can really understand this tool. Because if you master Keeper, you can master the Amazon business. So I would say if you are looking to start out on Amazon, make sure you master Keeper, because Keeper is your best friend when you do sell on Amazon. One of the most important things about selling on Amazon, especially in the early stages, is that you should not take any money out of your business. You need to recycle all of your money into stock every single month. If you start taking money out, you're going to grow a lot slower and it's going to take you a lot longer to scale. And for me, I did not take a penny out for the whole first year of my business. Every single bit of money I made, I then recycled and bought more and more stock. And that is what's helped me grow to such a big figure today. As soon as you start seeing people take money out of their business at an early stage, it will not help with them scaling. So you need to make sure you reinvest every single thing you possibly can while you're starting out. And then once you get to a certain level, you can then look to start withdrawing some capital. You can then look to start withdrawing some funds. But my biggest advice in this whole video is to make sure you reinvest every single thing you can. These are some of the most common mistakes I see when people start selling on Amazon. Number 1 is spending money for the sake of spending money. So some people might have a budget of say £1,000 when they first start selling on Amazon. And what they want to do, they are so desperate to make sure they spend every last penny of that £1,000 in the first month that they end up buying silly products which they probably should have avoided. So it's super important. Don't get sucked in and just try and buy everything you see just because you want to spend your money. You'll be much better off being super selective with what you're purchasing to make sure you are purchasing good deals only. Because what will happen if you end up spending your money just for the sake of spending your money, you'd end up spending a lot of your money on terrible products which will not perform very well, and they will also stop you from scaling as well. So you need to make sure, especially in the early stages, you need to be super selective with what you're purchasing and not just doing it for the sake of it. The second one is not utilizing Keeper enough. As I said before, Keeper is your best friend in the Amazon game. You need to make sure you understand and learn Keeper and everything there is to know about it. There are so many different functions, which even sellers now who have been selling for 1, 2, 3 years still do not utilize as much as they should. So understanding Keeper and making sure you understand exactly how every single thing within Keeper works is super key and so important to running a successful Amazon business. Lastly is comparing yourself to other sellers in the space as well. You will see a lot of other sellers and they could be doing X amount in revenue or making X amount in profit, but you generally have no idea how they get there. Their situation could be so different to what your situation is. So you should not compare yourself to anyone else. As soon as you start to do that, you then start getting negative thoughts thinking, well, how are they making 10 grand a month when I can only do 2? Like, what is going on? What are they doing which I cannot do? You have no idea about how other people run their businesses or their personal situation as well. They could have 20 times more capital than you, or they could be focusing on this full time, whereas you might have a 9-to-5 job and you only have a few hours a week to work on this, whereas they have 8 hours a day where they could concentrate on this. So you never know what other people are doing. Don't worry about other people, focus on yourself, focus on what you're doing and whatever is working for you, and then just look to rinse and repeat that so that can continually work and grow for you. 2 of the most important tips which I will give you if you're looking to start selling on Amazon is 1, you need to make sure you build systems and processes in place straight away, and make sure you have spreadsheets in place which tells you exactly what you're buying, how much you're buying, and also what you're selling as well. This is so important, and data in the Amazon space is super key. So you want to make sure you have as much data as possible when selling on Amazon, and this being all of your historic data. So anything you purchase, you need to make sure you write this down. You need to understand what you've purchased, how many you purchased, and how much this was. This will enable you to understand exactly how much money you spend every single day, week, and month. And it is super important to understand what you are selling as well, and how much profit you are making from every single sale you make. And this is super key because you need to understand if this product is worth selling or not. Because if you're not making much profit, then you need to do something about it. There are lots of different tools you can use to do this, but when you're first starting out, just get a basic Google Sheet spreadsheet and make sure you write down as much information as possible to track every single thing you are doing. You will thank yourself later on when you've got all this information written down. And secondly, and this is probably one of the most important, you need to network with other sellers as well. Networking has helped me massively scale my business to almost every single level. When I first started, I was speaking to every single person in the Amazon space. I was messaging everyone, whether they just started, whether they do £30,000 a month in revenue, or even more than that. I was in their DMs and I was asking them how they're doing, what they're up to, any sort of tips and tricks they can share with me, and I was trying to share stuff with them as well. And that is so key in my opinion. You see this on social media all the time. Network is your net worth. And to be honest, I thought it was super cringy at first, but I do actually understand it now. And without networking, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today. It makes life so much easier if you can speak to other sellers in the same situation as you, because generally they will be able to help you and you will hopefully be able to help them in return as well. So network with as many sellers as possible. You will not regret it. The barrier to entry with Amazon is super low, so there should be nothing stopping you from starting this. If capital is a problem, they can always jump onto eBay first, or even Vinted or Facebook Marketplace, or even car boot sales. You can start selling products there to then earn enough capital to then jump into Amazon. So as I said, the barrier to entry is very low, and the concept is pretty simple. As I said, all I'm doing is buying name brand products from your very common everyday retailers you buy stuff from in the UK anyway, and then send them into Amazon and get them sold on there. Super low barrier of entry and super simple concept. There is nothing stopping you from starting this. And if 10K was possible for me in my first month, then there is no reason why someone else like you cannot do this as well, and even scale this much further. If you are interested and you do want to start, or you do want to scale your business, then make sure you jump into Seller Smart and jump into our free Discord group. There are so many other sellers in there just like you, wanting to start and scale that Amazon business. And there is so much help to help you on any step of your journey as well. Make sure you drop any comments below if you've got any questions about Amazon itself, and I will help every single one of you get started and grow your business.